Hey everybody, Wildman Wes here, and welcome to the worst state of movies, where we look at 50 movies made in each of the United States, and we decide whether or not they have earned the title of being the worst movie made in each state. It's time to get into the whirlybird and see which state we travel to next. We're now in the state of New Jersey. New Jersey. Two things come to mind for me. Kevin Smith, the View Askew and Jay and Silent Bob films, and the New Jersey Devils. I like one, the other one, it goes back and forth. I'm a Blackhawks fan from the Midwest, so for all you New Jersey Devil fans out there, hey, I still love you. But when it's time for games, I have to root for my Hawks. But I digress. When it comes to pop culture, there is one big lesson we have all learned in life. When movie adaptations are made, it is a hit or a miss, especially when it comes to comic books. There are a lot of greats out there, and there are a lot of bads out there. The one in particular that we're going to talk about that has dealt with a lot of scrutiny over the years is 1997's Batman and Robin. I knew I was going to review this at some point down the line in the annals of being on YouTube, but I didn't think it was going to be on this list. However, I sit before you dedicated. The movie starts off with Mr. Freeze of the Rogues Gallery going to break into Gotham's museum and steal a diamond to increase his freezing powers. And not just that, he's also in the midst of his backstory of how he became Mr. Freeze because his wife had developed a disease known as McGregor syndrome and is looking for a cure. While he's doing point A and point B, Batman and Robin come to thwart his plans. However, Robin, being a little bit of a jabroni boy, tries to steal the show and gets frozen in the process. After Batman and Robin talk about Mr. Freeze's backstory of how he became to be, we fast forward over to South America, where a biology and plant life fanatic, Pamela Isley, is working on plant life chemicals and experiments to better the world. And she finds out that her boss, Dr. Woodruff, stole some of her ideas and used some of the chemicals to make his own chemical known as venom, and brings forth the subject known as Antonio Diego and turns him into Bane. When he realizes that Pamela found out about this, he wants to take her out. He fails, and she becomes Poison Ivy. She realizes that Dr. Woodruff is being backed by Wayne Enterprises. So what better way to go back to Gotham and get revenge on everything that has been done to her. As Poison Ivy comes back to Gotham and seduces Batman and Robin with her little charms of blowing some toxic perfume into their faces, we learn that Alfred is not feeling very well. And it turns out that he too has McGregor syndrome, through to the fact that his niece Barbara that comes to visit brings it up to Robin. We now go into ADHD mode where Batman and Robin are fighting over Poison Ivy like two little schoolboys. We have Mr. Freeze still trying to find a way to help his wife. We have Poison Ivy trying to betray Mr. Freeze by taking out his wife while she's comatose in a big water-filled vial. We have Bane, who's just a lunking man that says one-worded phrases. Alfred is still sitting there battling his health issues. And at the end of it all, Mr. Freeze realizes that Poison Ivy was bad from the start. Bane gets his venom removed from his body. Barbara becomes Batgirl. Oh. This is one of those situations where you put 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. It is very difficult to keep up at times. Now it's time to talk about what I like and what I don't like about this film. I know I kept out a lot. It's on HBO Max, so you can watch it on that streaming service. However, we're going to move on. One thing that I appreciated about this film back in 1997, we're going to rewind almost 30 years. They did what was kind of like Kentucky Fried Movie said with Feel Around. However, Whenever Mr. Freeze was on the screen in the theater, the cinema went cold. Whenever Poison Ivy was on the screen, it got warm. So it was one of those interesting interactive movies back then. However, when you watch it at home, it hits a lot differently and maybe not for the best. When it comes to the cast, we have a lot of famous people. George Clooney, Christopher O'Donnell, Alicia Silverstone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Uma Thurman. We have even some bit parts from Jesse the Body Ventura. We have Pat Hingle. We have Michael Gow reprising his role as Alfred. We have Ella McPherson. We have so many. I'm looking at my list right now and going, oh my gosh. It was hard to keep up. I wanted to just deny my cheat sheet right here, but I had to say something about it. What is sad about this movie is there are 4 people that have been in the Batman movie Hall of Fame. This is the last movie that we will see Michael Gow as Alfred, Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon. We also have Elizabeth Sanders, the widow of Bob Kane, one of the creators of Batman, as well as Jack Betts, who is in the movie prior in Batman Forever when he has Riddler's helmet put on him and he sees a bunch of fishes and things flying around his head as a Gothamite. There are a lot of things I could roll my eyes about because of the fact that this movie is over 30 years old and I've rewatched it a couple times over. And I'm not sure if it's because I enjoy it or it's just I'm bored and need something to do. I do appreciate the joke about Mr. Freeze's hideout being an old ice cream shop type thing, and he's sitting there with his fuzzy slippers and a big robe listening to the Snow Miser's song while his goons are freezing pretty much half to death with their tongues stuck to frozen TV dinners. I find that rather amusing. Another thing I actually thought was funny was during the end when Mr. Freeze decides he wants to try to freeze Gotham, and one blip of a bulldog trying to urinate on a fire hydrant. We all get the joke. It's still funny though. But there are some things that I find are not as funny, or it was cute the first time you saw it, but then when you start going back in retrospect, it's not as funny as you thought. The Batman credit card. Much like American Express, you don't leave home without it. In this situation, you can leave home without it. Also, they did Bane dirty. When I say that, before you start getting on the comments section, hear me out. Bane looks exactly close. I wouldn't say exactly. He looks close to what he looks like in the comic book panels. However, they make him sound like a Dunsky. One-worded phrases. When you look at the comic books, when Bane broke Batman's back, he speaks in full sentences. In this one, it just went, as I said, 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. One of my biggest, what was going on is Batgirl in this one. Now, for those of you who are not necessarily comic book fans but have watched Batman and Robin, Barbara Gordon is the daughter of Commissioner Gordon, who is the Batgirl that most of us know. There are other Batgirls that have come before, Batgirls or Batwomen, whatever you want to call. There is a PC joke in there too, so I'm just going to throw that one out the window and move forward. My biggest thing is that the Batgirl that I remember was Barbara Gordon. And I never remembered a Barbara that was related to Alfred that became Batgirl. So 13, 14-year-old me was going, wait a minute, something ain't right here. The math ain't mathin'. When it comes to movie magic, a lot of things can be looked away from. There's a scene where Mr. Freeze turns the switch in the lab from heat to cold, where all of a sudden Commissioner Gordon and Gotham police are falling down, their lungs are freezing. But when it gets turned back on to heat, within a split second, they are up and running. That must be some strong heat. I don't know what it is, but I wish I had it in this basement because it's freezing even at 30 degrees down here. The special effects for what they were in the 90s are fairly decent. However, there are moments in certain scenes where it looks like a backlot stunt show from even Six Flags, Universal, Disney. It just looked like a stage show half of the movie, and I started scratching my head about it. But at the same time, I figure it is what it is. When it comes to the ending with Poison Ivy, I scratch my head because Bruce Wayne is a fairly decent criminologist and has vast experience and knowledge of how to find antidotes and ways to not get subdued by the rogues gallery. When it comes to Poison Ivy, you'd think, take an antidote before you go and fight. No, what does Robin do? Rubber lips. Rubber lips. I mean, it works, but at the same time, rubber lips don't have any effect on your charm. Ugh. And now we're on the subject of the pun overload. So many characters have pun overload in this. Mr. Freeze definitely takes the cake when it comes to this. Or should I say take the ice cream? Which makes me think, if only Time Life had a parody. Gotham Life Music presents the best of Mr. Freeze with all of your favorite cold puns. Who could ever forget the populars like, "The Iceman cometh! Allow me to break the ice! Tonight's forecast, a freeze is coming!" And let's never forget the popular, "What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!" I love Arnold, and he does a lot of interesting puns in all the movies he's done. However, in this one, it got to a point where I was just like, I will not be back for this. A big difference in this movie, especially with Batman Forever as opposed to their two predecessors, was the music. Danny Elfman did the music for Batman and Batman Returns. However, Elliot Goldenthal did the music for Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. There are some similarities to the Batman theme, but it just seems a little different. And not just that, a lot of the cinematography and acting and just in general feels like a 90s version of the 1966 Batman with Adam West. I get what they were trying to do, however, it's been done before. And I understand that you can't do things exactly like somebody else, like Tim Burton. They tried to give that dark, gritty edge to it, but with more of this 1966 hokiness. And I love the 66 Batman, don't get me wrong. However, I liked it as a little kid. I still like it today, but in movie format, about a 2-hour long sit-down time, stick with the half hours. That's the best I can say. Oh boy, I'm gonna probably get my butt kicked for this one when it comes to the grade, but I'm sure I'm not alone on it. I've tried to sit down with rewatchability, as I've mentioned before. However, I have rewatched it many a times, and half the time in each sitting, I can't focus. Batman and Robin, it's probably going to be the last time I watch it for a while, unless I'm really, really bored. Folks, I hope that you at least appreciate my rundown and talking about some of the things that some people might not actually like, and some people probably do like. If you like the things I didn't like, or vice versa, put it in the comments section below. I totally understand. This was one of those movies, much like Fonzie jumping the shark, and there wasn't enough shark repellent to make it any better. Apart from that, we hope you at least share on social media and push that subscribe button. And we hope to see you soon on The Worst State of Movies. Until then, I'm Wildman Wes. I hope the next movie's better. I'm nervous. We're over halfway there and I'm getting tired. Oh boy.